Are the Broncos still in the market for a joker tight end? We're going to talk about that because we're talking about Miami tight end Elijah Arroyo coming up a super fun offense. I'm Henry Chisholm. This is Andre Simone. And before we dig in, we want to hear from All City draft expert Fran Duffy and ask him what he thinks of Elijah Arroyo.
All right, time to talk through Miami tight end Elijah Arroyo, a true senior who honestly burst onto the scene in his final season. Only 11 catches coming into 2024. He had 35 total this year for the Hurricanes as one of the top pass catchers for presumed top pick Cam Ward. Now, what does Arroyo bring to the table? Number one, his superpower, electric athleticism and game-breaking ability at the tight end position. He's got legit speed down the seam. He can be moved around the formation, a true move, joker type at the tight end spot, a guy that can be a mismatch for linebackers. He's too quick. He's too big and physical for safeties. How are you going to match up with a guy like Arroyo? That's going to be a question that defensive coordinators are going to have to ask if he's put into the lineup early on as a rookie. Now, when you're looking at Arroyo too, the next level, like efficiency metrics, really impressive. He only had one drop, small sample size, but one drop in his entire career. He averaged almost 9 yards after. Let me do that again. 3, 2. Only one drop in his entire career. That's a small sample size to be sure, but this is a guy that's got that ability to be that reliable pass catcher, but also a game breaker, because some of these next level like efficiency metrics, really impressive with Elijah Arroyo. Almost 9 yards after the catch per reception. So you're talking about game-breaking ability with the ball in his hands, but he did that despite being targeted deep downfield on 30% of his routes. So this is a guy that's got the ability to be a field stretcher, but then also a playmaker with the ball in his hands. That's a tough combination to find at the tight end spot. As a blocker, he's not a killer, but he's a replacement level player. This is a guy that can be moved around the formation. He was used at the point of attack in the run game, a move player on some of their gap schemes, a lead blocker, in the hole, kind of a quasi fullback in that way. Not a guy that he's not going to be confused for like Kyle Juszczyk at the point of attack, but I think you can use him enough where he could be a 3-down player at that position. You're not worried about, are you telling the defense that you're definitely going to be passing when he's on the field? He's not a one-dimensional player in that way. I think he does enough to give you that confidence to be a true versatile player in the NFL. Now, the other big thing, the reason he only had 11 catches coming into this season, injuries really took their toll on him. He didn't play a full season at all coming into this year. He played through the Senior Bowl, did a nice job down there in Mobile, had a really strong week, really flashed, especially early on, but he couldn't work out at the combine due to injury. So the durability, that's going to be a question. That size, that can be a little bit of a question, but still 250 pounds, nothing to sneeze at that spot. To me, I look at Arroyo as one of the more electric options at that tight end spot in this draft. It's a really strong tight end class. We know about Tyler Warren. We know about Colston Loveland, two guys likely to go in round one. For me personally, Arroyo's next up on that list because of that game-breaking ability.
And a reminder, if you want more from Fran Duffy, you can go to thednvr.com. He has an entire big board, hundreds of prospects, an insane amount of work, the strengths, the weaknesses, basically every detail you could ask for. Go check that out. Also check out our Broncos 100 at thednvr.com, the top 100 prospects for the Broncos, which includes Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami.
Fran's second-ranked tight end, ahead of Colston Loveland.
Crazy to me, but I see the appeal.
I agree, but at the same time, just like Loveland impressed us with his size, where it's like, wow, I would have expected the way he moves on tape, you would think he's smaller. Yes. Arroyo coming in at 6'5", 250 with 10-inch hands was the same exact reaction as Loveland.
Totally.
It's like, whoa, you watch that tape at Miami and the way he moves, and you thought he was more of a move tight end, maybe more Evan Ingram sized. Yep. Instead, this kid, 6'5", 250, that is like prototypical size. And for him to move the way he does, and then, kind of dominate at the Senior Bowl the way he did, it's all really, really impressive. The upside is big time for this kid.
Totally. Again, listed 6'4", 235 by Miami. And so that's what you, like you said, that's what you look at going through this. And you're like, wow, yeah, he moves like it. He looks fast. He looks like you can give him the ball and let him run. He looks like he can beat people down the field. But again, like you said, 6'5", big size, prototype size, real 6'5", along with 250. Yeah, just makes you think the sky's the limit. Interesting, though, kind of a one-hit wonder. Showed up in 6 games in
Very
2023,
much so,
hardly
yes.
played. Had 150, 160 yards coming into this season total. But started all 13 games, 35 catches, 590 yards, 16.9 yards per catch with 7 touchdowns. Is this guy a realistic second-round pick, or would you have to kind of move up for him, you think?
I think he can be a realistic second-round pick. Now, if you ask Fran, maybe that's less so the case. But I think with Loveland and Warren there, with all the talent at the skill positions, I think there's a decent chance he can be there by the mid-second. And it's also going to come down to, like, how's he check out on the medical stuff? Because he comes in. So this is a kid who kind of moved around in high school. He starts his career in football in Texas. Then his family moves to, Florida. Family moves to Mexico and plays his final 2 high school years in Texas, gets the offer to Miami, then gets injured, which sidelines him for his first season. And then what was expected to be his breakout sophomore year, he's still kind of sidelined. And so doesn't really break out till last year as a senior. And we see the upside, but you see a lot of the raw traits from a guy who's missed 2 years of college, who moved around in high school, maybe wasn't playing big-time high school until his final 2 years moving to Texas. So if you're intrigued by, well, we could really develop this kid, give him a couple years, and then see where he's at, that could be very intriguing. I just wish I would see more refinement, blocking, route running. Even at the catch point where it's like, yes, he has great speed down the seam, really tough to cover for safeties, linebackers, you name it. But when you watch the tape at Miami, a lot of those targets down the seam are kind of contested grabs where Cam Ward's throwing it right at the safety and he's kind of like almost playing like a DB to just make sure the ball's not intercepted. I don't see a ton of those kind of grabs. So you're dreaming on the kid a lot. You're dreaming on a big kid who moves well, who had some flashy plays, but also I think left me wanting for more as well in the tape at Miami.
I totally agree. And I think, again, like there's just a fluidity to the way he moves that makes you think like this guy, he looks like he could be special. I don't know. You also have that long line, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, like a long line of Hispanic tight ends who he fits into that mold in some ways. We just, maybe that's part of it. Where just mentally you say like, yeah, you can draw those comparisons in your head. But I agree. I mean, you're just hoping for him to add just a little bit of strength so he does look more like he's 250 pounds, at least when he's blocking. And then, like you said, the route running isn't quite there. The polish isn't there. With the Broncos, though, you have the 2 years to kill. Like you've got Evan Ingram right here leading the way. If you did want to invest and develop, it's just hard to justify, to me, even trading up in the second round to go get a developmental player like that.
100%. And we're going to find out with guys like him how important that joker tight end really is to this offense, right?
Yep.
Because Ingram, you've got him for 2 years, but third contract free agents, it's always hard to really count on that. It's a bonus if it actually works out. And so do you need to draft the next in line already? Might you be more intrigued by some of these tight ends that are less jokery, but check off more boxes, or could complement Evan Ingram a little more by being more inline tight ends? It's all really fascinating questions. And then it's a deep tight end class. Would you be better off waiting a little later for Harold Fannin or Jake Brenningstool from Clemson, Jackson Hayes from Georgia Tech, if that's the kind of player you're targeting?
There are options. It's not Elijah Arroyo or bust, which might be why you're able to snag him a little bit later on. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
He's got the size to be a blocker. He's got the size to be a contested catch guy. He's shown you promise as a yak guy. There's a lot to like. We'll just see how he gets prioritized by the Broncos.
We will see. Going to be fun to watch how his career progresses. If you want more from us, we've got 9 other videos on this channel or on the way here pretty soon, depending on when you're watching this. And you can go to DNVR.com, like I said, to see the draft guide, the Broncos 100, so much draft stuff up now. Go check that out. Make sure you stay tuned to DNVR as we approach the draft.